Hello, good morning. Welcome into another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. It is 8:56 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 15th day of September, year of our Lord 2025. We got Kyle Williams with us. My name is Dom. Welcome in. If you were new around here, we're live every day the market is open, and we're talking about the biggest gappers in small cap land. If you were around last week, you saw some of the biggest gappers in history in small cap land. Thousands of percent gaps, hundreds of percent gaps every single morning, starting on like Tuesday or Wednesday throughout the entire week. Kind of got a little slowdown period on Friday, and we're back at it because we got a gapper up over 300% right now, several over 100% that we will take a look at and check this morning. But welcome into all you amazing people. Get going over there in the live chat. Looks a little slow on this Monday morning here as we tackle the second half of September. But we do have Mark in here, JB, P Daddy, Mash for Fun, Jack, Wayne. Good morning. Make sure you tickle that like button as well. Get that number up into the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s plus. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel as well. If you're new around here, like I said, we're live every single day the market is open. We do a little extra. On Wednesday mornings, we do some live trading at 9:15 a.m. instead of the normal 8:45 a.m. schedule. And then we do Wine Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday nights as well. So if that intrigues you, go ahead, subscribe, stick around, ask a question. The schedule is generally as follows. We talk about the biggest gappers of the day. Some of these gappers up 100, 200, 300%. Then we go through their daily chart, their fundamentals, a little bit about their dilution, kind of walk you guys through what we see when we look at these stocks for the first time, and give you some thoughts. You'll answer some questions. We'll answer some questions that you guys put in the live chat towards the end, and then we'll get on out of here between 9:15 and 9:20. That sound cool? That sounds fun? That sounds amazing? Awesome. So cool. Welcome in, Kyle.
Hello, good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I was going through, making sure that big gapper is a big gapper.
It is.
There we go. All right, we're back at it. How do we feel? Monday morning, kind of a weird week last week. I was going through my review for myself last night, and I was like, feels like we're coming off one of the better weeks of the year, but really I took like no trades. Didn't start trading until Thursday and Friday. Reversals still suck. Breakouts seem to be working okay. Just got to follow the plan. And then we got gappers. Still got gappers.
Last week was, I think, a statement that September is not slow. And it's funny because every month or every year I'm always, I always kind of make it pretty apparent, like, hey, August or September, like, don't be disappointed if it is slow. Not necessarily take it to the bank, but just like have, your yellow to red lights on, like you're slowing down at the stop sign or stoplight kind of thing, just in case. But apparently, and I always have that viewpoint. So like, I never really saw the market sentiment be different this year. But I got to speak at an online conference over the weekend, and the main guy who was running it, Jason, who runs a fund in futures, so totally other market, totally other sector. During his talk, he was like, "I've never seen more people talk about September being slow in my life." And so naturally, when everyone's on one side, the opposite happens. And he's like, "So far, I've seen the busiest and most bullish September ever." And then it hit me. I'm like, I always say it, so I was never looking for it. But now since everyone was saying it, it's like, it doesn't shock me now that like the markets are all at all-time highs. All of my swings are gapping up. Small caps, we had some of the biggest gap and craps and runners in a long time, if ever. It's just the opposite happened. And so I think that will probably continue at some degree this month or this week. Doesn't have to be as insane, but I just think that momentum is slowly, trickling into this week. So we'll see.
We shall sell. We see. Shall we? Shall. I had to add another gapper to my list because someone mentioned it in the live chat, and I had moved my max dollars to 20, and that wasn't high enough because we have a 200% plus gapper over $24. So we'll talk about that one too. All right. let's jump right into it, considering we got a few to talk about here. Go ahead, get some questions going to live chat. If we have time towards the end, we'll get to them. If you have questions on random tickers, whatever. Just so you guys know, me and Kyle post our watch list every single night. That's like, we talk about gappers here in the morning because sometimes there's stuff it's important to just kind of have a good idea of what's going on in the market, where's the momentum at, the hype, and what type of news is moving stocks. But the majority of the things that we are certainly interested in every morning, you get access to that stuff the night before, where we kind of lay it out, our plans for all the tickers that we're watching. You can get that over at 3-leaf or 4-leaf on clovertrain.io. So if that interests you, head over there after we finish the stream this morning. All right, biggest gapper of the day that I see is CHEK. Check.
Check
Check cap.
For some reason I was going to say cheek. Yeah,
Oh,
but
my
it is check.
This one, there's no controversy here, okay? It's check.
Yep, check.
One that I think we've seen in the past. We'll take a look at the daily chart here in a minute.
We definitely have.
4 million float out of Israel Diagnostics and Research Company. 2 days ago, 912. Wait, is my thing even right? 2 days ago is not 912, but
Friday, 3 days ago.
in the after hours, Embody AI and CheckCap enter into definitive merger agreement. They have negative 8.2 months of cash left. It looks like everything else is low across the board. They don't really have any potential dilution, which is just a forum for them to dilute the stock and enrich the company. They really don't have any cash. They're burning it quite quickly and running out. And they're doing a merger. What does that make you think of?
It's my least favorite thing when it comes to gap and craps. I don't know. I think we went over a merger like a week or two ago, and it did crap itself. I don't remember the ticker, but it did die decently. But I just hate it because it changes the dynamic. Like it isn't some new, like the reason why we like small caps, right? Like the whole news just not meaning much for most of these companies, and you can just trade the price action as it is. When you bring in a merger, now it's like, oh, there's actually some fundamental crossroads here where like they might both be crappy. Maybe that's you short it anyway. But I just, again, I when I look back on my trades, I'm not ever like, oh yeah, that merger news, I crushed that stock. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and I just nailed it. Like it just adds this extra layer of uncertainty of what it means for the company, and it usually leads me to not knowing how it should trade or where it should go. But again, 330%, it probably craps. But then again, I just don't know enough. If I was a good merger analysis, like I'm an analyst, then maybe I can look at whether the merger is justifying this gap or not. But I'm just not that guy. So, technically, yeah, this probably shouldn't close up 300%. Fundamentally, I have no idea where this actually should be.
Yeah, looks like that news came out after hours Friday. Stock popped up from the sub-dollar area all the way into the twos. And then this morning has headed higher, starting probably in the 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. window, from the twos all the way up into the fours. Fading off right now, a lot of levels that it can try to act as support and hold, but right now is a little bit off of those highs. Taking a look at the rest of the day chart, stock really hasn't been all that in play for most of this year. It's kind of been fading off top left to bottom right with a couple of random like days of volume that seem to fail quite quickly and easily. You got a run at the end of last year where it ran from like 60 cents to $3. So, right around where we are right now. So maybe I draw a line there, and it becomes something that the stock has to act as support. Today, it's not something I would look at as like a breakout over that level. It's many moons ago, many months ago, and the stock's up 300% at these levels. So I'm not usually interested in buying stocks up 300% at breakout levels, because a lot of the stocks I trade that are up 20% at breakout levels fail. But volume is quite good here so far, 75 million. Plus some in 20 million in after hours on Friday. It's kind of a mixed bag in terms of what the stock does. This big run at the end of last year wasn't off of a gap. It was off of, it opened and then ran. And then some of the gaps we've had, this one back here, kind of wicks in both directions. Let's go back a little further. It's definitely top left to bottom right. And yeah, so I don't think there's a ton to go off of. I think that $3 resistance is probably quite important. And I kind of agree with Kyle's sentiment about the news being kind of bland. I don't really know the ins and outs of all that. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a nothing burger, but all that really matters is the reaction, the momentum that comes off of it, and the fact that we're still getting 200-300% gappers coming into a fresh week. And when it comes to these gappers, it's never as simple as it's going to go up, it's going to go down. It's really hard to predict that kind of stuff. I know, I always kind of look at it as more of an art and understanding where we're at in the market cycle right now versus any specific tangibles. But yeah, it's the start of the week. It's kind of, I like to think of each week in gapper world as, kind of it's just a flowing river, and we're going to see, the gappers today will let us know, at least for the first couple days of the week, where we're going to be. Are shorts getting squeezed? Are shorts being aggressive? Are longs chase heavy? Are they not really interested at all? Those type of questions get answered, and then we kind of use that as a guide. With the fresh 300% gapper on Monday morning, it's not something I really want to jump into and figure out, because it's either we're at the end of last week's cycle, which everything started to fail and not run as far and not squeeze, or we're starting a new cycle and anything can happen.
Right.
All right, there is check for you. The next biggest gapper of the day is that one that's a little higher priced, HSDT, which I think we've definitely seen before. Looks like reverse split heaven here.
HSDT?
Yeah.
EST. Helios.
Let's take a look at their info real quick. HSDT up 227% this morning in a partnership with Pantera Capital, and Summer Capital announces over $500 million in funding to launch Solana Treasury Company.
Oh, God.
They have a 1 million float. They had to have done some reverse splits here recently. 2 months ago, they did a reverse split. Just looking at the daily chart, for another time, we can kind of tell you how it's easy to notice that stuff. But a 1-for-50 reverse split.
Damn.
A couple months ago. Get that float nice and low. Overall risk is high across the board. They got 8 months of cash left, but overall risk is high. You see anything in the offerings that they got some price stuff, $10 million. Yeah. They have a lot of stuff that appears hasn't been used. Pending effect, some warrants, exercise prices way higher. They got some exercise prices here at $611,250 if it gets up there.
Maybe one day. Maybe one day.
All right, so it doesn't look like a ton of stuff in the money.
This is one of the.
They got a March ATM from this year as well. 20 million left.
Yeah, just from a chart look, this is one of the crappiest ones ever. Like, you can clearly tell many reverse splits, many dilutive spikes. The only issue is the Solana Treasury. And if I am immediately, when you brought it up and you read Solana Treasury, I then immediately read the PR again, because I was like, if there's no dollar value, then I actually might short this. Like, if there was no dollar value, and it was like the one that we had on Friday where it was like, we're just going to buy crypto, and there was like no amount of money actually listed, I was going to be very short biased here, because this is just one of the crappiest ones to constantly gap up and then crap and then reverse split and then go back to lows and then do it again kind of thing. But unfortunately here, it does give us a pretty significant number of 500 million. So it ruins it.
Is there just too much money out in the world where HSDT can find a way to get $500 million?
Exactly. Like, this isn't the first one. This is like the 10th or 20th one where
that's not insignificant.
There's these companies that are worth like less than my net worth. Like, I'm worth more than these companies. And then out of nowhere they go, "Oh yeah, by the way, we got some fund to give us $250 million." It's like, what? To start a treasury? Like, why wouldn't the firm just go buy crypto themselves? Like, it just doesn't. I don't know. It is so crazy, and I am getting exhausted with this crap. I'm so tired of small cap treasuries. Like, I like the large cap treasury. I love the BMNRs. I used to love the MST. BMR started as a small cap, right? But it had a little more legitimacy to it from the beginning. I don't know, man. This is just clearly off limits for me now.
It's so weird to me, the strategy here, because if you just look at the most recent PRs, right? Positive study results presented at consortium of multiple sclerosis centers. announces claim authorization by Cigna Health for portable neuromodulation stimulator. Then
Nothing to
boom,
do.
crypto.
Exactly.
It just
So
screams like, you saw AT&F, a biotech, turn into ETHZ within weeks. And it's just like,
yeah.
were these companies ever doing any of this biotech stuff before? Or is it literally
No.
was it all fake? Like, because
Yeah.
was it just a shell like you saw with OTCs back in the day where companies would, they're a cigar company, then they're a Bitcoin company, then they're a marijuana company, then they're back to a Bitcoin company. And now they're experimenting with mushrooms. And it's just like the types of companies that are able to acquire this type of money to launch these strategies is interesting.
It's something else.
But let's talk about the daily chart. You got to stock that, because the reverse splits, you're seeing massive prices across the history of the daily chart. Pretty much since June now, after some big gap down on some horrible news. The reverse split's been since then, but you got resistance up there, I guess. You got a gap and crap day where it gapped up into the 14s, came down to 9 on 18 million volume back in July. That was probably right around the time that they splatted. 627. What did I just say? Sevens. So all down here is kind of post reverse split. Do you make anything of the daily chart, or do you see a stock that's up $17 to $20 a share, up 200%, and with a 1 mil float, it's going to do what it wants to do?
If it wasn't for the crypto PR, I would say this should crap itself pretty hard. But with that PR now, I think that makes it a little more difficult. And again, I'm still kind of stuck to the rule of me blacklisting crypto PRs for the reason of that, companies like this, that it almost like it defies the laws of physics when it comes to stocks. Like this company probably should die, but that just puts a massive wrench in it. So now I have no idea. It could still fade because it's such a crappy company with bad holders galore, but I don't know. You theoretically, you give a company 500 million that's worth what, barely 20 million. Like, there's going to be someone who's thinks it's at a discount, and technically it probably is, because if they give them that money, then they do buy that Solana, then it just is going to be that discounted. Unfortunately, that's the defiance of the physics right there. So it's the company's getting multiples of cash on their market cap, right? Like overnight, It's like the opposite of an offering, because if you do an offering, then you have to sell your stock down to get that cash in the first place. So then the cash in the market cap will even itself out. But if you're just gifted millions of dollars, then it's like a cheat code.
Yeah.
So
very interesting. Okay, let's rapid fire through some of the other gappers, and we'll get to a question or two, and then we'll get out of here. We're moving quick. 37 likes. Anyone wants to volunteer as tribute, get that number up towards 50 for us. Come on. ATCH, saw someone asking about that one. Was a gapper or just a runner from Friday that I know some
Day
people
2.
in our room were taking it overnight. So congrats to all longs over there. Actually, kind of a decent breakout. 30 cents. Kind of makes sense too if you guys were watching last week. AIRE kind of broke out on light volume, turned into a big runner that ended up kind of following along with Open's momentum. So not crazy to me that a low price stock actually found a way to do some good volume and run. Wow. Probably should have been more paying attention to that in the afternoon. I didn't even see that one Friday. Really nice close, sideways price action, uptrend in after hours, and then boom, you get a really big gap up 130%. Not your everyday gapper. I'm sure Don Juan doesn't catch a ton of the 100% plusers. But what do you think here, knowing that is day 2, up more than most gappers you see are? Is there interest in this as a potential overextended gap up? Is it just a day 2 gap and crap? I don't know. What word are we putting on it?
I usually throw overextended gap and crap on this one. I wouldn't call it a regular gap and crap, because in my mind, gap and craps are day 2. This is clearly one that is proven to be a runner, and is because again, if you want to be very specific about details, like the reason why it's gapping is different, right? Gap and craps, they have news. There's day 1. longs are first getting in, shorts are first getting in. The dynamics are different, whereas ATCH actually ran from nothing first. And I'm not saying nothing, but ran from the lows up. There was no gap, and now it's gapping. So it's like momentum has chased it, so to speak. Like momentum already started, and now it's gapping up because of it. So if it were to crap itself, I'd call this an overextended gap and crap. Whether it actually crap, like whether it's going to do that or not, I don't know. I mean, this is a pretty big gap, but I got to look into the news. I haven't looked into why it's running in the first place, but I mean, either way, whether it's failed today or tomorrow or this week, I definitely am interested in this for a short eventually. Right now, it looks pretty strong, and let's see if it wants $1. But yeah, it's either the realm of a gap and crap or an overextended gap and crap today, or a possible first red day tomorrow or Wednesday kind of idea. That's how I'm looking at this right now.
They're a finance company, Atlas, for trading, clearing, settlement, and banking of evolving and innovative financial products.
Interesting.
All right, there's ATCH gapping up big on day 2 there. GPUS is another big gapper. Did HSDT like fall off a cliff, or did my...
No, it's still here.
Did it go higher than my new... I have to keep changing the requirements here. Probably went over 25. GPUS, what do you think?
GPUS, let's take a look.
Is that the one? Yeah, up 100%.
GPUS. We've looked at this chart before because I remember calling it GPUS. Yeah, back in May or April, or no, yeah, May. Gapping up big. I mean, it was what a massive sell-off since the last run. I don't know. I mean, take your pick. These are all today. We just have a plethora of crappy companies. All of these are pretty crappy. Every single one of them. I mean, yeah,
Dude,
it's
they
already
are
failed
so...
badly.
The PRs here, I gotta look at it. I'm so sick of these crappy companies. Looks like they've done something with crypto.
Yeah, 100 million Bitcoin treasury. So, shocker. Here we are.
And then like sporadically in there, they're like, no, now we're doing. They launched Only Bowls, a mobile-only investing app with your own AI market agent. Then they're talking about their Bitcoin mining. Then they switch and talk about XRP. Total XRP purchase. What's that, Ripple?
Yeah.
They're adding 20 million to their Bitcoin mining balance sheet. So, and then so 3 hours ago, this one launched $100 million to GPUS, a freaking 30-cent penny stock. And aerospace and defense is what it says their thing is. I haven't seen it. Oh, this is formerly DPW.
Yeah.
That's been Bitcoin its whole life, right?
Maybe.
DPW, do you remember the 2020, 2021?
I remember the ticker. I don't remember it being Bitcoin related. Was it a Bitcoin miner?
Yeah, because I think their name is BitNile.
Okay. Well, now
I don't know what this means, but I remember DPW being in there with. I'm blanking on the other names, but
Mara Riot kind of
thing? In that group. In like the late teens.
Mara Riot went on to be some of the biggest miners in the world. I don't know about. I think DPW did something different.
They went a different route.
Yeah, they took a different way.
All right, so Bitcoin, that's a better name, right, than any of your other crap coins.
Yeah.
But it is a 70-cent stock. Let's not get it twisted, eh?
Yep. And it's given back. It's a dollar off its high. It's faded quite a lot already. I wonder if the market just doesn't care about it.
You need a gap to 20 for us to care,
At least keep your gains something,
Okay, yeah, I don't have a ton of thoughts. No real interest in buying this stock. It's one that, if that low priced theme continues and we get big moves off of this, I'll maybe keep an eye going forward, but don't love the idea of like shorting them under $1. Sometimes they can, if they're just under $1 and they can't get over $1, sometimes those fade well and they go back to where they came from. This came from like the 30s and 40-cent area, but fees can kind of add up on that side of the trade as well. So not the most interesting gapper out there. Even when you look at the daily chart, it just looks a little super top left to bottom right. All right. What is the best time frame to watch for a lower low? I don't know if you're talking about like gap and crappers, like when Kyle talks about that, or talking about like a breakdown type of trade on the daily chart.
Yeah, it's every time frame, right? Like it depends on how significant of a lower low you're looking for. If you're looking on the daily chart, you're gonna have to wait weeks, right? If you're looking at the 1 minute chart, you're only have to wait 10, 15 minutes, right? 30 minutes, whatever it may be. It's all subjective to you, you know. It could be objectively a lower low, but whether it's a lower low you care about, or whether it's a lower low that even is in the wheelhouse of you looking for, right? Like it crosses the line at some point there. So you'd have to add some context as to why you'd be looking for one.
Okay. Someone asked about how much do you think this week, looking strong so far, has to do with interest rates getting cut. Did we lose you?
Dom, can you hear me?
Yep, there you go.
I thought my internet went out.
Did you hear me?
No, I hear you now.
Oh,
I'm back.
how much of this has to do with interest rates getting cut this week? I think just strength or all around.
Oh, I think yeah, I think the markets are front running it a bit. The Nasdaq's at all-time highs. Yeah, I think people are just excited for rate cuts to happen. Whether that sustains after the rate cuts and becomes a sell news event, I'm still uncertain. We'll see. I would hope so, just because I think it's silly we're running up into rate cuts. We've known for months now, in my opinion. So why people are lazy and buying the week of, it just shows lazy investors human psychology. But we'll see what happens after. But I definitely think this hype definitely Thursday, Friday going into this week, and then all the gaps today. At least on large caps, for sure. I for sure think that's front running the FOMC on Wednesday for sure. So.
All right, then AIRE, last question. We'll get on out of here. With all the pre-market shenanigans, is it something we still consider short, or is this recovery too strong?
I mean, you tell me. It's a recovery off the lows, but where is it off the highs? You know, that doesn't sound like a recovery to me. Sure, off the lows, but like, if this is not still a first red day, then I think that answers your question, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is one of those things where, as someone who turns off pre-market and after hours once the market opens, because most of my trades don't do anything during those times, I would probably feel like if I'm uncomfortable at all during this trade, that it has something to do with that. But there's a stock that basically almost broke the highs from Friday and broke the lows almost from like 2 days ago, all in the same 30-minute stretch in pre-market, and now it's like right in the middle of it. So I would probably trade off the daily chart. And right now it's opening just slightly down 3%. All right, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of your Monday. We'll get you your webinar scheduled for 4 Leafs and Black Clovers. We'll be live again tomorrow morning, 8:45 a.m. for a little more Good Morning Nasdaq. Appreciate the questions. Appreciate the likes. Appreciate you guys being here. You make this community great. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see all you Clovers over in the room right now. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great and amazing